record on this computer. Hi, Ryan. How are you?
I'm doing good, Jody. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very good. I've been talking to people all day about life's challenges and the oppression they face, and it's been very fascinating. And I'm surrounded by wonderful people who are very open to sharing their stories and their insights and their perspectives with me. And I'm very thankful. And thank you for being one of those people as well and joining me today.
Anytime.
Yes. So I know that it's kind of almost a bit of a, I don't think confusing time is the way to say it, but it's Pride Month. And there's also Black Lives Matter happening right now, which is so important as well. So it's kind of like, how do we lean to support both communities without either community feeling like they're not being seen or heard? Do you think that do you think racism is a bigger problem today than homophobia? Let's just jump right in.
I would say so. Personally, I don't want people to get offended by
I know, right?
my feelings, but
I'm thinking maybe so too.
I think it is. Well, I mean, you talked about Black Lives Matter and Pride Month happening now at the same time. And I've noticed a lot that instead of a lot of my community, the LGBTQ community, going full force with the Pride Month, I've noticed a lot of them are instead turning and helping with Black Lives Matter protests and stuff like that, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, shifting their voice and support.
Yeah.
Which is really wonderful and interesting. But I did want to take the opportunity as well to bring light to people. Like I think there's probably many people in the world who actually don't get to sit down and have a conversation with someone who's gay. I mean, I'm not one of those people because maybe because I'm in the arts, or maybe just because I talk to everybody all the time. But I think that it'd be great for people to get to know you.
Well, yay, that'd be great.
Yeah. So I first met you through the Recording Academy.
Yes.
Are you also an Emmy voting member though, right, as well?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you vote on TV shows and in categories for who wins the Emmys, and you vote on music and the categories for who wins Grammys.
Yes.
And you are a writer.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I know they've started to share more of your poetry online over the last few years. And it's really deep and moving stuff. And then you did you go back to university or start university?
Well, that all came about. When I graduated high school, I wanted to be a screenwriter. That was my dream. Ever since I was a little kid, I wanted to be a screenwriter. And so I pursued that avenue. And a few things happened there, which speaks to the homophobia and stuff. Anyway, that door got shut in my face. So I kind of didn't know what I was going to do at that point. And I decided, well, let's go back to school. So I went to school, and then my mental illness creeped in when I was in the middle of getting my bachelor's degree. So I stopped that. And when I finally got better, I wanted to go back to school, but it was too expensive for me. So one of my friends told me that I should try and get a scholarship. So I just said, okay, I'll apply for it. And if it's meant to be, it'll be. And they called me up and said that I got it. So I thought, well, let's do this. Let's go get that bachelor's degree.
And that was 2 years ago, is that right?
Yeah, 2 years ago, I graduated with the bachelor's degree. And then I decided to keep going and get my master's, which I'm going to be graduating August 3rd with that. And I decided to keep going and get the doctorate. Yeah.
And so, and then is that stuff creative writing, or how?
The bachelor's degree was in English, with a minor in U.S. history. Yeah, because I thought if I was going to write, having a background in U.S. history would help, especially if a lot of the characters I'm writing are based in America. So I would know the backstory of a lot of different things if I'm writing about them. But my master's degree and my PhD are going to be in education specifically.
Oh, wow. Oh, I didn't realize
Yeah.
that. But there are a lot of writing classes, right? I know you're doing very well with your creative writings.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I keep
you're
trying to
so
write
humble
every,
about it.
yeah.
You're so humble
Yeah.
about it.
I write every chance I get, but I keep running into this problem because a lot of people know that I suffer from mental illness. So when I post my poetry, a lot of my poetry is dark,
Yes.
you know, and it deals with death and dying, and
Trauma.
because I'm one of those people, when I'm writing about something, if something scares me, I want to go dive all into it, you know, and find out. And death has always scared me, so I just dove right in and kept writing about it. And when I post it, a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're not going to hurt yourself or something, are you?" And I'm like,
Right.
"No, it's just a poem."
You know what I think is really great about you online too is that when you're struggling, you say, "I'm struggling." And
Yeah.
you share your art, you're sharing your art. And I think as far
Yeah.
as mental illness goes, it's so important I know that when I go through bouts of depression and that I say to people, hey, I'm depressed right now. No, you can't fix it. There's nothing you can do. I'm just communicating. And I think that gives us the freedom to navigate that space better, easier.
Yeah.
And then we're not responsible for taking care of the people who feel like they have to take care of us. I always feel such a burden to okay, well now you know, and now you feel like you have to take care of me. Now I have to make sure you are okay, knowing that I'm not okay. And that's like just such a big game, such a big game. So now I know that you struggle with mental illness, and it is trauma based, correct?
Yes. Uh-huh.
And do you want to talk about what happened?
Yeah. When I was 19, I was raped at gunpoint. And that kind of messed me up. That was right after graduating high school. And you know, in high school, I was picked on and bullied for being gay. And then when I graduated, I was so excited and so happy. And I thought, oh, I'm going to be a writer. This is going to be great. And then the rape happened, and that kind of, you know, put the kibosh on that, because I had to
Deal with
try
that.
to deal with that. Yeah, I had to
Yeah.
try to deal with that, but I didn't deal with it properly. So yeah,
It's
there's
not,
that.
yeah, I don't know that there's, I think we're all just, at this point, you might have just been trying to survive and,
Yeah.
do your best. Where did you grow up?
I was a military kid. I was born in North Carolina, but I grew up mainly in upstate New York, Saratoga Springs, but we moved to Hawaii a couple times, and eventually we made our way down here to Tennessee back in 2002.
So those were like some liberal areas and some not so liberal
Mhm.
areas. None of them were liberal. I would think
Yeah.
being an army brat too, that being gay, especially in the 90s, would have been challenging. Were your parents
Yeah.
supportive?
My mom said that she always knew, but my father and I never really had um, a good relationship. And when I finally came out to them in 2002 or three, I noticed that the relationship between my father and I kind of deteriorated. And yeah, we spent the rest of his life kind of going back and forth, being combative. And then he was diagnosed with cancer, and he recently died last year. And before he died, though, we made up and we hugged and cried and both apologized, and it was a good moment. It
That's
was a good moment.
Do you think there was some sort of him not being able to understand that he was struggling with more than not loving you?
Um,
Maybe?
that was the weird thing, because after he died, I found out through his widow that my father apparently was very proud of me and was telling everybody he could about how he was proud that I was graduating college, and that I was pursuing my writing dreams. And he used to say stuff to me about being a writer. He kept saying, "Oh, that's not a living. You can't do that." But unbeknownst to me, behind my back, he was praising me for doing all that. And it really opened my eyes, and it was sad that it happened after he died.
Yeah.
That, you know, I
Yeah.
found all that out, but it was nice to, because, you know, when you have a relationship like that with a parent, you kind of spend your whole life with this image of that parent as being a bad person or being mean. And then when I found all this out afterwards, it really changed it. And I felt bad. I really did. I felt bad.
Well, that's not fair. That's not fair. His inability to
It's
communicate is
life.
not your cross to bear.
Yeah, but I mean, that's life. You know, that's a part of growing. I can't change it. You know, that's why I say it's life, because life is all about learning. That's what I believe. It's all about learning. And sometimes things happen and you're able to see yourself, probably not in the best light, usually not in the best light, but that's how you learn, is
Yeah.
from other people. You know, other people are like a mirror.
That's so true. That's so true. One of the things I see you participate in online a lot is you are a huge advocate for equality and Black Lives Matter, actually. And like for like 2 or 3 years, even when any sort of racist thing happens, you know, you're always tagging a few people going, check this shit out. It's fucked up. I mean, you don't say it like that, but
Yeah,
it's
no,
like,
but
hey, look at this. Let's take this guy down because he's obviously wrong. And I just always
well, no, I don't want to take anybody down. I don't.
no.
I would like to educate and that kind of stuff. And I'm perfectly good with, you know, debating, going back and forth with people. It's just when it gets the name calling or
Yeah.
stuff like then I'm out. When it gets to cussing and swearing and that kind of stuff, no, then I'm out.
Yeah. I think whenever I see someone advocating for any sort of oppression, you're like, that's not how it goes. Actually, let me tell you a couple things.
No.
Here's an
Yeah.
opportunity to educate. You're right. You never want to take someone down, but you go to bat to fearlessly educate. And again, you know, for longer than 3 or 4 months ago, you've been doing this. I've been doing this for years.
Well, I feel like I keep, in everything that I do when I'm defending anything, I always keep, it seems like I keep telling everyone, this is why learning history is important. Because a lot of people, when they say stuff, it's not even true, because they don't even know history at all. And it just surprises me.
I'm curious too, with a minor in U.S. history. Did you learn about like what happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and did you learn about Black history as well?
That I had to do on my own. That I had to do totally. But I did it because this happened many, many, many years ago. I'm, you know, you should know me. I always tell the truth.
Yes.
And I had an incident where I had a mirror put up to my face that maybe some things that I thought were wrong, and could be misinterpreted as being racist. So I had to look at that, and I had to really do some digging and learning on white privilege and racism and the history of African American people in our country and what all has happened. But I had to do that on my own, because, you know, a lot of colleges and schools just don't teach anything like that.
I had a similar thing happen about 5 years ago, where a mirror was held up to me, and I was surprised at my ignorance. It took me a couple of years to actually unpack it all, and my white fragility, and the fact that I was so upset that someone would think I was racist when I'm obviously not. But then there's so much to language and word choices and communication styles, and you know, we all have bias, and I might not have been even seeing it sometimes, that I was able to, you know, better apply myself to how I wanted to communicate and be an advocate for change and equality in a way that I wasn't just treating everyone equal doesn't quite cut it, you know?
Yeah.
You know, like today, you can't just be not racist, you have to be anti-racist. And which is one of the reasons I'm doing this video series and these
well, I think a lot of people get stuck when they have a mirror put up to them and people are calling them out. And I think when somebody tells them, hey, you're being racist, I think people take that as an insult. Well, they take it as someone trying to insult you, when really they're trying to enlighten you and hold a mirror up to your face and say, hey, you might want to think about this. But it seems when a lot of white people hear, oh, what you're saying or doing might be considered racist, all of a sudden they get on the defensive and they're like, I have a black friend. I don't do this. And it's like, why don't you pause for a minute, take a beat, listen to what the person's
Yeah.
trying to tell you,
Yeah.
and, really look at yourself and what you're doing.
Yeah.
But people now, I guess, just don't do that.
I wonder, well, I think we're learning to. We're being forced to, which is probably
Yeah.
very good. And I also, I guess from someone who had been bullied through high school and then traumatized sexually, to have someone tell you that you had white privilege must have been very confusing, because it's not like you've lived a life of privilege. You've actually faced
Yeah.
several issues yourself.
Yeah, but that's people, I think, when they hear privilege, especially in the white community, they think it has something to do with money.
Oh, right.
Um, they do. That's a lot of the argument I hear from a lot of white people when they hear white privilege. They think,
I grew
oh,
up
that
poor.
I grew up poor. I grew up in the trailer parks, so
Yeah.
I don't know what they're talking. But it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the system that's been in place for over 400 years. That's been done by white people for people, and the fact that if you and your family didn't take advantage of the luxuries that were afforded you in society based on your skin color, then that's on you. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
your ignorance doesn't mean it's not true.
Yeah.
Just because you didn't gain the system because you're white doesn't mean it's not in your favor all the same.
Yeah. I mean, my problems that I faced with, and my mental illness wasn't just because of the rape that happened to me. I've had it ever since I was a kid. um, a lot of people in my family have bipolar schizophrenia and depression and all, so it runs in my family. But I mean, that's a separate issue, the mental illness, because a lot of us face discrimination based on being mentally ill. People always make an assumption. If I stand up for something, a lot of people might say, oh no, he's just having an episode right now. It's
Right.
not that I'm right or that I have an opinion,
Yeah.
it's I have an episode, so
Right.
it's like, ugh.
Yeah. 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 That's tough. Yeah. So you got some double whammies going on, hey? Like the mental illness stigmas in life,
Yeah.
and then being raped, and then being gay and growing up as an army kid. Like
Yeah,
it's
that's
a lot there. So you've had your share of oppression, which I think is also why you come to bat to defend people with such a true heart, and that's because you know what it's like to be on the underside of a nasty boot, maybe. Uh,
yeah.
so then, how do you? I have my own perspective on how you channeled and handled these things, but how do you process through these things that are challenging for you?
um well, I mean, I do a lot of writing. I try to do a lot of creative stuff. um Sometimes I'm not able to navigate. When I had my first episode, I call it an episode for me,
Okay.
with my mental illness, was when it got very dark and I couldn't eat anything for like 2 months and I lost 50 pounds.
Oh,
And I took to the bed. I was in bed for literally like 8 months. This was my first episode. I had no idea what was going on. And
right.
um, I went from doctor to doctor to doctor, and then come to find out I was clinically depressed. And I
Right.
had no idea what that was. Nobody, this is what I'm talking about in dealing with mental illness, that I had no idea that clinical depression could happen to me, or that it was even a thing.
Right.
And I thought that was a shame that my doctors didn't tell me
Yeah. Right.
um, about that. But anyway, so that happened, and I wasn't prepared at all, like I told you. But last year, the same thing happened to me. I had another episode, and I took to the bed. But because of the first episode, I was more aware, of what was going on. I still took to the bed, but I didn't have that panicking that was happening before, because I thought I was dying the first episode.
You would
But with
pass.
the second, yeah, but with this
Oh, I lost you, Ryan. Oh, oh, there you are. Sorry.
oh, I think we froze.
We did. Oh, there. Oh, there we are. Okay, we'll just retrieve that. So the first episode, you thought you might be dying, but the second episode, that panic wasn't set in.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I've come to learn with my depressions, and they're not as heavy as the ones that you faced, is as soon as I started to realize that I can't control it, and I just got to let it go through me, it became that much easier to handle. But when I was like, I should be better. Why can't I feel good? Why am I so upset? Why am I crying? Why am I, all that stuff just made it harder. The self-shame made it heavier. So as soon as I was able to kind of go, hey, this is happening.
This is me.
We just got to wait for it to pass,
Yeah.
And then it was easy. And then I also, like you've been doing too, and I communicate, well, it's going to pass. Today's not a good day. Hey, today I'm starting to feel better. Today, now I thought I was getting better, but I'm not. But just being able to use those words, then people can keep an eye, but there's no pressure on anybody to fix anything, because even I got to let it through the system. As soon as I learned, I just got to let it through.
You bring up a couple of interesting things. I wish people would stop feeling like they have to fix us. You know what I mean? It's like whenever we, I don't want to group us together. I don't want to do that. But for me, well, I mean, for me, when I have an episode or something, it seems like everybody wants to give you helpful hints, advice about how to fix everything. And the truth is that even though we all have mental illness, all of our stuff is different. You know what I mean? Like what I'm going through is totally different than you. And what we're going through is different than what somebody else might be feeling, their symptoms. Totally. So it's weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, again, some of these conversations I've been having today, and even in regards to people who post racist things to other people, is I think it's actually just the spirit is desperate to connect. And so if people are trying to help you through, they're just trying to connect and let you know they're there, right? Not that you're like, okay, tell me you want me to eat? Great, that's easy for you to say, or whatever. One of the things I'm learning through these conversations is that I think that people are just trying to connect. And and that's one of the things about your writing and your work that is so powerful, is that it connects really, really deeply. You're not just like writing vapid pop song poetry. You're writing like deep words.
I know, but I'm gonna say something. Oh my God, this is horrible. But I'm one of those people that when I'm in an episode or anything like that, I don't want to connect with people.
Well,
I really don't. I'm like, you stay over there.
No.
I'm
that's
like, no.
Like, they want to connect with you, but it's not your job to make them feel better anyway.
Yeah, I'm just not. I'm that way anyway. You know me. I'm not a hugger. I don't. When people go in for a hug with me, I'm like, no, you stay over there. I'm good.
Fair. I think you also you've got pretty clear boundaries that you listen to, and I think that's really great. And not everyone has the strength to actually beat to their own drum, and you do. And you do.
I like the fact that we're able to, I hope that we're to the point where we're able to post, you and I, about saying, today's a bad day.
Yeah.
Today's a bad day, everybody. And my friends, at least, are good about, just saying, good luck, hang in there, it'll get better, on Facebook or whatever.
Yeah.
But for the most part, they leave you alone, But when I say I'm having a bad day, that's to, like, warn everybody, like,
yeah.
Don't bother me. I'm okay. I'm just in an episode.
Exactly. Don't bother me. I'm okay. And I do think that also for me, just being able to say it's a rough day is so important. Just being able to say that, because when I don't say it, then it's heavier. But sometimes I just call myself out on it, and it's lighter.
I like that we're able to do that. It's freeing to be able to say, I'm having a bad day, because, before we couldn't say anything about it. And, it's like going to your therapist's office. The first question they always ask you is, are you having suicidal thoughts?
Right.
And and I found this with other people too
It's
that
like
I've
a trick
talked to.
question.
I know. They're always like, I always tell them no, even though I do, because I don't want them to lock me up.
Yeah.
And I confronted my therapist about that the one time when I went. And I told her, I said, it's like a side effect of being mentally ill. You always have suicidal thoughts. I said, I do every single day. I
Yeah.
said, but I don't like build out a plan or anything. I'm
Yeah.
like, so you're setting me up for failure by asking me if I have these thoughts, because I do every single day.
Yeah. I mean, for me, suicidal thoughts are not, action plans. And they're not leanings.
Yeah.
They're not like, they're not inspirations. They're just like, oh, well, I may as well just blah, blah, blah. Or,
Yeah. It's like off the cuff.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they're quite visual, but at the same time, it's, on that note too, when I got pregnant with my first daughter, I had actually already spent, I had 7 months where I was agoraphobic, mildly agoraphobic, and I would say even mildly schizophrenic. And I don't always speak about this. I mean, I'm open with people in my life about it, but I don't think I've had the opportunity to talk about it online at all. I moved home from Toronto and I couldn't go out. I finally got a waitressing job, and gosh, those 2 hours of having to deal with people were like just the scariest, most anxiety-driven things in my life. But so when I got pregnant with my first daughter, and she said, "Do you have any history of mental health?" I said no, because I didn't want them to take my baby away, because I was just pregnant with her. And so, and I mean, they wouldn't, but I didn't want
Yeah.
them to spend my entire pregnancy questioning my mental stability,
Yeah.
And I
Mm-hmm.
actually feel like my learning curve and my approach to my mental health over life uh, has improved so much because I've given myself room to get better, as opposed to being told I'm not okay. And then of course,
It's sad that we have to hide it. That
well,
we feel like we have to hide
well,
it.
I think we used to have to. I think that was part of
Yeah.
the deal. But there's more conversations that are starting to happen now, which is great. And because we're artists, Ryan, I think that
Yeah.
that
That's true.
supports the disease, and B, it's also one of the gifts is that we get to be artists.
Yes.
We
Mm-hmm.
feel so deeply that we can slip into depression, and that
Sorry, my dogs are barking.
and they're so cute. You were so sweet to me that day in Nashville.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, we loved having you here.
That was
Yes.
wonderful. Thank you for having me. But
Yeah.
and then because we do feel things so deeply, we are artists. So, it's both sides of the same, different sides of the same coin, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. I love
Oh
getting
no.
to be an artist.
Mm-mm.
I love getting to be an artist.
Yeah. I told you before, that's why I think that I'm so grateful. When I first learned that I had mental illness, I always hated it, and I was like, why am I different and all this stuff. But once I started writing and everything, I really do believe that having my mental illness has helped me creatively. And I think if I wasn't mentally ill, that I wouldn't be able to write anything. I really do believe that.
Deeply as you do. And I I agree with you. I agree with you. I mean, it's your life, but I
Yeah.
agree that that's one of the gifts, that we get. So before I wrap things up today, I thought maybe I'd mention the fact that you're writing a few scripts right now.
Yes. And a novel.
And a novel. And that one of those scripts has a part for me in it. And I'm super excited and super thankful and really, really excited to dive into this character because she's
Doris.
so complex. Yeah, Doris. So complex and tortured and hopeful all at the same time. And what an honor. So thank you very much.
I'm loving this character so far because she kind of represents my life too, in a way. Well, I just told you like a whole bunch of stuff that's happened, and it seems like that happens to everybody, that like 3 or 4 big things kind of happen to them.
Right.
And when we watch movies now, it's like one thing happens to a character and then that's it.
Right.
Versus with this script, you're gonna get like those 3, 4, 5 things that happened previously to your character, and people are really gonna get a good sense of it.
Oh, well, that'll be fun to play how each layer affects her moving forward, as opposed to playing each layer all in one space and time. but how each layer
Mm-hmm.
affects each layer, and each layer becomes who she is when we are where we are today. I can't wait. I can't wait.
Me
So
either.
thank you for hanging out with me today.
Oh,
And
thanks for putting up with me and my dogs.
yeah, I didn't put up with the dogs a little bit. No, they're cute,
Yeah.
cute dogs. And you're a really wonderful person, Ryan. So thanks again for your time today.
Oh, thanks, Jody.
Okay, and I have a question too. When I share this video, are you open to answering any questions people might be posting below?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Okay, great.
Hopefully I didn't say anything that gets like the world turning against me
Well,
or
we
something.
can always, we can always delete the assholes comments.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I think it's important to have assholes in our lives so we can help guide them to the light, but
Yeah.
but we can delete their comments.
Yeah.
Not that it's censorship, but we're supportive. We're learning together here. So
Yes.
yes. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Ryan.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.